Welcome back to my channel, everyone. 3 tips here. I've got some scrap gold here. This is all 14K scrap gold. We're going to throw it in a melt dish here and get a weight on it. So we got 14K, 21.1 grams. We're going to multiply this by 0.583. 21.1 times 0.583 equals 12.3 grams of pure gold expected. Okay, where'd this number here come from? 14K divided by 24K. 14 divided by 24 equals 0.583. All right, we want an alloy that is 1 part gold and 3 parts sterling. So 12.3 is going to be 36.9 grams of silver that we need to add to this gold to create a 25% gold alloy. We've got 21.1 grams of 14K here. We need to subtract out the 12.3 grams of pure gold. So we got 21.1 minus 12.3 equals 8.8. We need to take this away from the amount of silver that we're going to use, and that will leave us with 28.1 grams. This is a sterling silver fork, and what I've done is I've just broken off the tangs to it and came up with 28.8 grams of sterling silver. I'm needing 28.1. This will be close enough. Adding silver and then taking it back out with acid does a fantastic job of cleaning this gold in this first refining step. I would normally add nitric acid at this point, but instead what we'll do is we're going to extract the silver and the base metals with Ruto Professional Drain Cleaner that I picked up at Ace Hardware. It's 93% concentrated sulfuric acid. This has been on the heat now for about an hour and 45 minutes. What we're going to do here is get a temperature on this. This is extremely dangerous. It's 281 degrees Fahrenheit. That boiling sulfuric acid, if it gets on your skin, it'll go right through your tissue, down to the bone. What I'm going to do now is we're going to test, make sure we're pulling silver. I've got some distilled water here. I've got hydrochloric acid. And I'm going to make a dilute hydrochloric acid solution. Now what I'm going to do is grab some of the sulfuric acid solution back here out of our beaker. I've got an extra long pipette. And just a few drops here. I'm going to put it down into this beaker and see if we're pulling silver. If we got silver in here, it should form a cloud of silver chloride in this water, this dilute sulfuric, and there you go. You can see the silver chloride forming. So that's confirmation that we are in fact pulling silver out of the unquarted gold. I've had this on boiling for nearly 4 hours now. We're going to pull it down off the heat. And before I handle it in any way, I'm going to set it down here and let it cool off for a little while. The solution has been allowed to cool for about half an hour. As you can see, there's some white precipitate that's formed and settled out on top of the unquarted gold. What we're going to do is just pour off this liquid now. It's still quite hot. I'm just going to pour it off carefully. Now we'll add another 200 milliliter dose of the concentrated sulfuric acid. Put it back up on the heat and do a second sulfuric acid boil to try to remove all of the silver and base metals from the unquarted gold. This is our second sulfuric acid boil. This one's been on for about 4 hours. We're going to pull it down now and let it cool off. I've allowed the solution to cool overnight. It is the following morning. We've got a blanket of precipitate forming on top of the unquarted gold. I'm guessing that's probably going to be silver sulfate. We're going to pour this off now. I'm going to add another 200 milliliter dose of sulfuric acid. And we're going to put this up on the heat now and do this third sulfuric acid boil. This is the third sulfuric acid boil, and what we're going to do, it's been on there for about 4 hours now. What we're going to do is carefully pour this off now into our container over here. Carefully, here we go. Yikes. That's spooky looking. Right. I'm going to put this down here and let it cool off before we add some fresh acid. I just poured the acid off And it's been sitting here for about 2 or 3 minutes. If you look, the temperature is still way up there on this material. So before I go adding ice cold, fresh sulfuric acid in there, I'm going to let it cool down a little further. The beaker has been allowed to cool for about 10 minutes now. I'm adding another charge of 200 milliliters of 93% concentrated sulfuric acid, the Ruto Professional Drain Cleaner. I'm going to cover it up, stick it back up on the heat now, and do this 4th sulfuric acid boil. And here I'm going to swirl it real good to mix everything up so that this 4th sulfuric acid boil can reach all of the silver and copper in that beaker. This 4th boil has been on for about 3.5 hours. So we're going to take this out of here now. And we're going to set it down, let it cool off. Not seeing too much of that precipitate now like we did before. I think the sulfuric acid is starting to pull the silver away from that gold in there. I'm going to reach down in here with an extra long pipette. And I've got a solution of 50-50 hydrochloric acid and water, and we're going to see if we're still drawing any silver. When I drop this in here, if there's silver in here, it'll form silver chloride. Let's see what we got. And I don't see a whole lot of silver chloride forming. We're getting pretty close to being done with this. All right, let's pour this 4th sulfuric acid boil off now into our container back here, carefully. This is looking pretty good. Our gold down there looks like inquarted gold that's been parted with acid. Silver and the copper has been removed now, it looks like. I'm going to get down in here with a rod and see if I can break this up. Oh yeah, this looks pretty good. This is looking real good. Just to be thorough, I'm going to pour in another 200 milliliter dose of sulfuric acid. We're going to do one more boil on this stuff. Cover this up. We'll put it back up here on the heat and do our 5th hot sulfuric acid boil. We've had this 5th sulfuric acid boil on now for about 2.5 hours. Now what we'll do is take this down off the heat, let this cool down. This is looking superb. I think the all the silver and all the copper have been pulled out of the gold now. So we'll let this cool down, decant that liquid, and go from here. Okay, I'm going to reach down in here and get a little bit of the solution in this pipette. We're going to add it to our hydrochloric acid solution here. If there's any silver in here, we'll see a silver chloride cloud form, and I see none of that. I'm fairly certain it's safe to conclude that we've got all the silver pulled out of the gold now. Okay, we've got the solution cooled down below 200 now. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pour this off now into our beaker back here. Alrighty. Here's what the gold looks like down in there. It's looking pretty good. Now what we're going to do is rinse the gold off real good now with some distilled water. I'm trying to get all the blue color rinsed out of this before we go to the next step. It's looking real good. Alright, here's our recovered gold that we recovered using Ruto professional drain opener from Ace Hardware. Alright, now what we'll do is we're going to set this back out of the way. It's going to have a little bit of gold in it. You know, we'll recover that later on. But for right now, what we're going to do is add some hydrochloric acid to our recovered gold in this beaker now. Here we go. I'm going to cover this up. I'm going to set this up on the heat now and start heating that up. I'm going to get these beakers out of the fume hood now. This is going to be loaded with silver, not a whole lot, but what we'll do is recover the silver out of this solution with hydrochloric acid. Okay, in keeping with our no nitric acid theme, I've got some 29% hydrogen peroxide that we bought from the hydroponic store here locally. It's an over-the-counter chemical. And what we're going to do, we're going to add about 200 milliliters to this separatory funnel that I've got set up with a delivery tube on it to act as a addition funnel. So let's go ahead and pour some of this right on in. Now we're going to insert our delivery device into the fume hood here and get it set up to start dripping the hydrogen peroxide into our reaction beaker down here. Now we're going to go ahead and start dripping our hydrogen peroxide in ever so slightly, just a few drips at a time, because this is going to be very reactive. I'm using 29% hydrogen peroxide here, but one could use the 12% from the Sally's Beauty Supply, or you could probably even use 3% from the grocery store, but it'd take a lot more of it. Here, the 29% hydrogen peroxide does a great job of putting the gold in solution without adding significantly to the volume of the liquid. And also, there's no nitric acid involved here in dissolving this gold, so we don't have to worry about denoxing our solution before we precipitate out the pure gold. That took a little over an hour. We've got most of the gold dissolved. There's still a few crumbs down on the bottom of the beaker, but I'm going to take out the delivery tube now. Here. Now we're going to take the solution down off the heat and allow this to cool off now. I'm adding some ice to cool our solution off. There's a little gold left in the bottom of this beaker. And what we'll do is add that to our waste container and recover it later on. Our solution looks nice and clear. The sulfuric acid did an excellent job of removing all of the silver. This is something I always forget to do. I'm going to reach in here with a little piece of filter paper, get some of our solution on the piece of filter paper, and now we're going to test it with some stannous chloride. Verify we've got gold in solution before we do the precipitation. That dark stain right there tells us we have gold in solution. Now we're going to use another OTC chemical, Stump Out Bibonide. This is sodium metabisulfite. What we're going to do is add this to our gold solution and precipitate out the pure gold. Here we go. First spoon going in right now. That's kind of neat looking. This is real time. This is not time lapse. Okay, we're going to put in another spoon of the sodium metabisulfite. Now we're going to do another stannous test and make sure we've got all the gold precipitated. And you can see by that test, there's no more gold in solution. Everything has precipitated out of our solution now. I've allowed the gold to settle overnight. Now what we're going to do is just empty it out into this temporary waste container. Get this colored liquid off of it. A little bit of gold might go over as I pour this, but that's quite okay because we'll recover it out of our temporary waste container. I'm going to rinse it with a little distilled water. Get the chemicals off of it. Pour those those rinses off into my waste container. Again, a small amount of gold will go over with the rinse. Here's our gold powder so far. It's looking pretty good. This looks like we've lost some gold. I may have put some back in solution when I let this settle overnight. I should have boiled it to get the reagents off of it before I allowed it to settle. That's okay. That'll reduce our yield here, but I'll get it back out of our waste container. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add some hydrochloric acid to this gold. I'm going to cover it up, put it back up here on the heat, and we're going to try to dissolve the gold a second time. I've added some 29% hydrogen peroxide to my funnel. We're going to put this in the fume hood now and dissolve our gold a second time using hydrogen peroxide. We've got the gold boiling in hydrochloric acid. So now what we're going to do is turn on the flow of our 29% hydrogen peroxide and drip this in real slow. And start dissolving our gold a second time. So what we're doing is we're dissolving the gold a second time using two over-the-counter chemicals here. This is a muriatic acid, also known as hydrochloric acid from Ace Hardware. And then we're using the 29% hydrogen peroxide from the hydroponics store. I'm very pleased with the way this 29% hydrogen peroxide dissolves the gold, completely eliminates the need for nitric acid to do the refining, and at $49 for a gallon of the 29% hydrogen peroxide, it's also cheaper than nitric acid. There's a tiny bit of gold left in here, so now what we're going to do is we've drained all the hydrogen peroxide out of our delivery device here. I'm going to remove this and get it out of the way. I've got about 40 ml of 29% hydrogen peroxide. I'm just going to go ahead and start adding this in. See if we can get that last little bit of gold to go into solution. Got just a few tiny pieces remaining in there. We're going to call it, and I'm going to set it down here, and we're going to let this cool off now. I'm adding a little bit of sulfuric acid to precipitate out any lead that may be present. little pieces of gold left down in the bottom of the beaker, and we'll get those out and add those to our waste container. Here you can see how clean the filter is, and our solution is clear and bright. I'm just going to clear the fume hood out now, and we'll get set up for our next reaction. Now what we'll do is transfer our gold solution to this beaker. Here you can see our gold solution is crystal clear and bright, indicating we've got some high purity gold here. Now we're going to introduce our next over-the-counter chemical. This is iron sulfate, formerly known as copperas, which is ferrous sulfate. And we're going to use ferrous sulfate now to precipitate the gold. That's what it looks like. It's just a green powder. Pour some right on into our beaker here and start dissolving it. We're going to add some hydrochloric acid to our copperas until it turns green. Why that didn't turn green when I add the hydrochloric. I'm going to go ahead and pour some in now. It's got to be filtered because there's going to be some solids in here that need to be filtered out. Copperas will precipitate only the gold. Now we're going to do a stannous test and make sure we've got all the gold precipitated out of this solution. And as you can see by that negative stannous test, all the gold has been precipitated. We'll pour the waste off into our temporary waste container here. Here's a look at the gold. It's looking pretty good. Well, the beautiful thing about ferrous sulfate is it will drop the gold, all of the gold, and nothing but the gold. The drawback is it takes multiple rinses with hydrochloric acid, distilled water, to get all of the iron off of our gold. I've done multiple rinses with hydrochloric acid. Now we're going to put some hydrochloric acid on the gold and heat it up. I've got the gold sitting in hydrochloric acid from Ace Hardware. And now what we're going to do is start the flow of our hydrogen peroxide down into here. This is 24 or 29% hydrogen peroxide from the hydroponic store. I'm going to start flowing that in and dissolve the gold a third time. The hydrogen peroxide has dissolved all the gold. It took about an hour. So now what we'll do is take our delivery device out of here, turn it off, and just carefully lift this out of here. I really like using the hydrogen peroxide to dissolve the gold, because now we don't have any nitric acid to deal with in here. I'm going to pull this down off the heat and let it cool down. Now we're going to add a shot of sulfuric acid, precipitate out any lead that may be present, just a few drops. Now we're going to get set up and do an SO2 gas precipitation. We've got a clean beaker on top of a stir plate. We've got a stir bar in the beaker. I'm going to pour the gold-bearing solution now into this beaker. Now we'll insert the gas delivery tube down into the beaker and turn the stir bar on. Start stirring. Back here I have an addition funnel that's vented to the gas generator bottle. It's full of sulfuric acid, about 100 milliliters of sulfuric acid. Down in the gas generator down here, I've got some SMB. And what we'll do is add some water to this to make a slurry out of the SMB. So what we'll do is we'll start dripping some sulfuric acid down into our gas generator. It'll come up through this connection, go through this tube back here, down into our sulfuric acid bubbler, where the gas will bubble through. sulfuric acid. It can cool it and clean it. And then the outlet will come through this tube, SO2 gas, and down into our gold solution. Before we get started, I'm going to add some distilled water to dilute the gold solution. This works better from a dilute solution. Now I'll reach back here and start dripping some sulfuric acid down into the SMB slurry, and this will produce SO2 gas. Alright, this is about 20 seconds into the reaction. I'm going to leave the camera on here and see if we can capture the entire precipitation here. It shouldn't take long. It should only take about 1 minute to precipitate the gold out of this solution with the SO2 gas. This is real time. I do not have it on time lapse. I can see the color of the solution is turning there. See it turn pale yellow. It's getting lighter and lighter. And here in a minute, it'll go almost completely clear right there. Somebody wanted me to get a test on this at this point. See if I can get in there and get some of this on a piece of filter or on a test strip here. And you can see it's staying clear. It's kind of neat looking. I'm going to put some stannous on this thing. And I really don't have a big reaction. There we go. The lid came off the top of the addition funnel. I should have clips on there, but I didn't do it. So this is about 2 minutes into the reaction right here. Goes pretty quickly. I chose to use SO2 gas because SO2 gas is said to have a superior precipitate than just adding the SMB directly into the solution. Here's the stannous test that I did on the clear solution. Kind of looks awkward, and some of the gold looked like it came out of solution right on the paper as I stuck it in there. But now what we're going to do is we're going to reach in here and get a little bit of the solution on a piece of filter paper. We're going to do a stannous test on this now and make sure we've precipitated all of our gold. And there you can tell all the gold has been precipitated. I'm going to shut the flow of acid off in our gas generator. And now what we'll do is take our delivery tube out and get it out of the way. Notice how it's got gold caked up on it. The gold is almost completely settled. This is only about a couple of minutes after the reaction. What we're going to do now is add some heat here. And let's boil this solution to rid it of excess SO2 gas. Just feast your eyes on that beautiful pure gold powder. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's almost got a red color to it. I always get a tremendous sense of accomplishment when I get to this point and the gold looks this good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn the heat off and let this cool down, and then we'll get our pure gold out of here and melt it up into a bar. Look at this beautiful high purity gold powder. It's absolutely stunning. What I'm going to do is remove this out of the way now, and we'll get all the rest of this cleaned up and go from here. While the gold is up here boiling in hydrochloric acid, I'm going to show you how we're going to get the silver out of this sulfuric acid solution. I've got a beaker here that's got some tap water and some hydrochloric acid. And what we're going to do is just slowly add the sulfuric acid that's full of silver to the tap water and hydrochloric acid and precipitate out our silver chloride. And then we'll take the silver chloride that we recover in this beaker and convert it to pure silver metal with lye and sugar. Now let's get the waste acid off of our gold here. Add this to our waste container. Adding some distilled water. We'll set this up here and let this boil in some distilled water now. Here's our little loaf of pure gold. Came out looking real nice. Got a nice shape to it. Let's see what we got for a weight on this. We got 10.9 grams of pure gold. That's 1/3 of a troy ounce of pure gold. Magnificent. This is a box chain that we'll be using for the necklace. It's just under 1 millimeter. And the weight on this thing is 14K. It's 2.6 grams. Here you can see the overall length of the chain is going to be 20 inches. I've got a couple of diamond earrings here that we're going to include with this set. And we'll get 3.7 millimeters on that one. And this one is 3.85 millimeters. These have been tested and verified. They are diamond and not CZ. I've got a used jewelry box here. And what we'll do is we'll mount these diamond earrings here, like so. And I've got some nice big back pieces here. I will mount the necklace in here like this. And this is a used jewelry box. I've just got a piece of tape over the name, and we'll stick it in here just like this. And this is how it will arrive to you. All right, this will conclude the refining, the complete refining with no nitric acid video using over-the-counter chemicals. And we'll get this listed on my eBay store. Thank you for watching.